Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Kern County Planning Commission for May 11th, 2023. And I'll call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Ashley?
Here.
Commissioner Dunbar? Commissioner Judge?
Here.
Commissioner Oliver?
Here.
Commissioner Skidmore? Ms. Simon?
Here.
Mr. Van Wyk?
Here.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next item on the agenda is Commissioner member announcement or reports.
I would just like to welcome our new Commissioner Oliver to this commission and looking forward to working with you in the upcoming years.
Thank you very much, and I look forward to working with you guys as well.
Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes from our April 27, 2023 meeting. We'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you very much. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is cases withdrawn or requests for continuance. We have none that fit that category this evening. So next on the agenda is our consent agenda. Ms. Simon, will you cover that for us, please?
Absolutely. Thank you, Chairman Ashley. This evening, the consent agenda are items that are scheduled before the Planning Commission, which are being recommended for approval by the staff and by the applicant, has been informed of any special conditions and has no objection. The hearing on these items may be expedited if no member of the commission or audiences wishes to comment or ask questions on these cases. We have three this evening. The first is zone change number 6, map number 71-17. This is Aspen 2 Homes, Inc. by Mark Sheehan, and it's located on the west side of South Mahon Street between Springer Avenue and China Lake Boulevard in Ridgecrest. The proposal is a change in zone classification from E1 district to E1RS district on 4.3 acres of a parcel of property. The staff recommendation is to advise the Planning Commission to recommend the Board of Supervisors approve the zone change and adopt the suggested findings as set forth in the attached draft resolution. The second on the agenda is item number 2. That's CUP number 14, map 165-34. This is by Teresa Lopez. This project is located on the northwest corner of Delta Court and Arosa Road at 22265 Delta Court in Tehachapi. The proposal is a conditional use permit requesting the operation of an event venue for approximately 4 to 8 events a month per year, and the permanent placement of 3 cargo containers on 2 parcels of record totaling an approximate 11.24 acres in an E5 RS district. The staff recommendation for that is to approve conditional use permit for the event venue for a duration of 3 years to expire May 25th, 2026, and approve the permanent placement of 3 cargo containers subject to the recommended conditions of approval for both uses and adopt the suggested findings as set forth in the attached draft resolution. The third item on our consent agenda is number 4, and that is zone change number 24, map 103-28, with PD plan number 11, map 103-28. This is Pedro Astorga by Paul Archer, and this is located at 1836 Niles Street on the northwest corner of Niles Street and west of Orange Drive in unincorporated Bakersfield. The proposal is a change in zone classification from C1 to C2 PD, or a more restrictive district, and a precise development plan for the new construction of a 600-foot auto sales office and a 2,000 square foot vehicle repair services building on an approximate 16,989 square foot net parcel in the C2 PD district. Staff recommendation is to advise the Planning Commission to recommend the Board of Supervisors approve the zone change as requested, approve precise development plans subject to the recommended conditions of approval, and adopt the suggested findings as set forth in the attached draft resolution. That completes the consent agenda this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Simon. Are there any members of the public that would like to pull any of these cases to be heard in their regular order? Okay, seeing none, any member of the commission?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda read into record.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes.
3 ayes, 2 absent. The motion carries.
Thank you very much. Ms. Simon, I think at least one of these has a right to appeal. Will you cover that for us, please?
That is correct. The conditional use permit is final unless it is appealed. Any appeal may be filed with the Kern County Planning and Natural Resources Department at 2700 M Street, Suite 100 in Bakersfield, with a filing fee of $540 on forms available at the Planning and Natural Resources Department and on the department website. A filing must be made within 14 days of and including the date of the hearing.
Thank you very much. Just for those in the audience, if you're not here for case number 3, then we're finished with 1, 2, and 4, so you're free to go if you'd like. Okay, next item on our agenda is public presentations. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons desiring to address our commission on any matter not on the agenda and over which the commission has jurisdiction. Speakers are limited to 2 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record before making your presentation. Any presentations for the commission this evening? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to our public hearings section of the agenda. Ms. Simon, will you cover this for us as well?
I will. Actually, we have Nicole Menchaca. She has been the project planner on this case, and she is going to present for you this evening the proposal.
Thank you very much. Ms. Menchaca, welcome.
Good evening, Chairman Ashley and Commissioners. The case before your commission this evening is CUP 9, map 129. The proposed project by applicant Julio Fregoso on behalf of ICI USA Presbiterio de California, represented by Wiley Hughes Surveying, Inc., was originally noticed as a conditional use permit to allow a 7,360 square foot church and 7,360 square foot accessory church retreat center on an approximate 19.37 acre portion of a 21 acre parcel. Subsequent to the distribution of the hearing notice, staff continued to consult with the project applicant, affected agencies, and planning department management in regard to the project design. Staff confirmed that the proposed use as initially designed provided parking in excess of the amount required. The project site is not intended for regular daily or weekly services and will not utilize both proposed buildings at the same time on a regular basis. As a result, the applicant submitted a revised site plan reducing the project boundaries to an approximate 5.24 acre portion of the 21 acre parcel. The project parcel is currently vacant and undeveloped. A copy of the revised site plan was included in the staff report packet. The project site is in the A Exclusive Agriculture District and has a map code designation of 8.3 Extensive Agriculture, minimum 20 acres, with a physical constraint layer of 2.4 steep slope located on the north side of Bat Canyon Road, approximately 1/2 mile east of Caliente Creek Road in the Caliente area. Based on information contained within the operational statement supplied by the applicant, the facilities would be used as a gathering and retreat center for 36 California churches, while also providing occasional church services for the church leadership and community. The applicant intends to host church leadership meetings up to 6 times per year with a maximum of 125 attendees, quarterly church services with a maximum of 50 attendees, 4 annual retreats with a maximum of 175 attendees, 1 large retreat every 3 years with a maximum attendance of 800, and several smaller church meetings throughout the year with groups of 25 to 50 people. Transportation for large-scale events will be provided via charter bus to reduce the traffic to the project site. Water services will be provided by an existing on-site water well, and the applicant proposes sewer services to be supplied through a private septic system. During the project comment period, staff received multiple comments from residents in the vicinity with concerns regarding safety, emergency resources, fire danger, water resources, increased traffic, road maintenance, noise and light pollutions, and environmental impacts. Staff has consulted with affected agencies and has incorporated recommended conditions of approval addressing the above concerns, such as widening the roadway of Back Canyon Road for safety purposes from Caliente Creek Road through the project frontage, requiring a pre-construction biological survey be provided to the planning department prior to the issuance of any building or grading permits, and imposing capacity limitations that would trigger additional review by state water agencies as well as the Kern County Planning Department. The applicant will also be subject to all applicable development standards within the Kern County zoning ordinance. Your commission has received an addendum staff report this evening outlining revised and additional recommended conditions of approval for your consideration. These revised conditions directly address concerns from neighboring property owners and any potential impacts to the surrounding area and the project site. These conditions include the following. Revised Condition 2 to reflect the correct size of the proposed project site and to provide an attendance threshold that would trigger the applicant to process a temporary event permit. With that in mind, Condition 2 will read as follows. This approval authorizes a 7,360 square foot church, section 191.12.030I, and 7,360 square foot accessory retreat center, section 19.12.030D, with associated site improvements on an approximate 5.24 acre portion of a 21 acre parcel in an A exclusive agriculture district. Any additions or expansions to the approved plan may be subject to a formal modification to this plan or a new conditional use permit as determined by the Director of the Kern County Planning and Natural Resources Department. Any event with over 1,000 attendees would be required to obtain approval of a temporary event permit, which shall be considered at a noticed public hearing. This permit does not allow for any overnight use of the facility or event outside of the project scope, including concerts, sporting events, swap meets, farmers markets, etc. If the applicant wishes to host any such event, it would require consideration at a noticed public hearing. Revised Condition 4D to include 4D5 to read as follows. The project proponent shall submit and obtain Kern County Fire Department approval of a fire and/or emergency evacuation plan that is tiered based on the number of attendees. A copy of the approved plan shall be supplied to the Kern County Planning Department and kept on file. The addition of a new condition 7H to read as follows. The project proponent shall continuously maintain the roadway of Back Canyon Road in a manner that the roadway shall be traversable by a standard passenger vehicle. The roadway shall be free of all potholes or defects from Caliente Creek Road through the project frontage. The project proponent shall supply a report of the road conditions and any performed road maintenance with photographic evidence annually. This report shall be reviewed by the Kern County Planning Director and kept on file at the Kern County Planning and Natural Resources Department. Staff believes with the addition and revision of the above conditions, the project continues to meet the basis for approval. Therefore, staff's recommendation is to approve the conditional use permit subject to the revised recommended conditions of approval and adopt the suggested finding as set forth in the attached draft resolution. This concludes the presentation. Staff is available for any questions.
Thank you very much. Is the project proponent here? Please state your name and spell your last name for the record.
Hey, my name is Jessica Zepeda, Zepeda. Okay, I'm with Hughes Surveying and we're representing Iglesia Cristiana. We have 15 people here, 8 pastors, 3 deacons, 3 members, which are from the numerous churches. There's 32 churches that all over California that created Iglesia Cristiana. And we're just here to answer any questions or concerns you guys may have. The staff report was efficient. It said what they want to do.
Thank you very much. So hang tight. We may have questions for you later. Okay, so let's open the public hearing, and now we'll hear from anyone who would like to speak in reference to this project. Please state your name and spell your last name for the record, and we're going to hold comments to 2 minutes.
My name is Robert Macias, Macias. My wife and I own the property next door, 14291 Back Canyon Road. I have a petition here signed by many of my neighbors. I wanted to turn in at this time. The fact is that I'm concerned with the natural resources, the water specifically. I have neighbors within half a mile of the property that had to dig more wells because they don't have water. I have over 100 neighbors in Caliente themselves that their wells ran dry. I believe it's irresponsible to approve something like this without an impact survey to our water table and what it would do to us. We run cattle, we run feed. If they take our water, our whole life is changed. The fact is that all we want is to see a scientific survey that states very clearly that this won't impact us. Well, I'm speaking for myself. I believe that the number one is the water. The biggest concern is I just read that they have to have a pump that pumps 15,000 gallons a minute, right? They don't even have a tank that can do that. So in order to have a pump that takes that much water out of our water table, you're going to kill the rest of us. It's impossible for us to maintain our way of life without the water. Number two, the water is the main concern, and my request is that you mandate an impact survey, an impact investigation for the water. Number two is the emissions. It's a more personal note, but your buses, cars, it doesn't matter. I run cattle next to the place, and we have a farm there. Can you guys promise me that the emissions from their cars, their buses are not going to affect my breeding program? Or how about the food that I grow to feed my family? Is this not, you're talking about that plan, that driveway goes right next to my property. You're talking about busing in 200 people right next to my bull and my dairy farm. Okay, so if the car itself isn't going to affect them, the emission sure is. I'd like assurance that it's not going to affect my breeding program. I'd also like assurance that it's not going to affect the food that my people eat, that my family eats. We came here specifically for this. We came here to raise our own food, to start commerce, and to live in a beautiful area. I understand why Julio and them want the property. It's beautiful. I understand why they want to come here. Same reason I did. Okay. However, I'm a single family. We use 3,000 gallons of water in 2 weeks. You're talking about bringing 200 people in. We had a wedding of 67 people. 67 people, mind you. These 3,000 gallons of water in 6 hours. Okay. So I don't know how to say it enough. The water table is a huge concern. My neighbor 2 houses away has dug 3 wells in order to supply his single family home. They want to use the same water table. He can't even supply a single family home. The gentleman across the street that just purchased the property had to have his company dig 3 wells until he could find a space to do it, until he could find the water. And they're 450 feet down. The gentleman I bought the property from on this field next to us, and his tank holds 5,000 gallons of water. They'd need 2 more tanks, they need more pumps, and they need to dig their well another 400 feet to even supply it. Once again, I'm going to close on one thing. Please, please, all of us here are counting on you guys to demand an impact report on how this is going to affect our natural resources. Thank you.
Thank you. So again, please be mindful of the time. We're going to set a 2-minute limit for speakers this evening. Is there anybody else who would like to speak? Please state your name and spell your last name for the record.
My name is Alice Sorensen, spelled S-O-R-E-N-S-O-N. I'd like to state that I agree with what Robert has just said. I do not believe that the report that's been given to you has been done with any quality assurance. There are so many flaws that I, as a novice, can see in it that I can't understand why it would be presented. The water issues, the traffic issues, the environmental issues, the fire issues. None of that has been properly addressed, nor has it been discussed with the community. The community needs to be a part of what they're planning so that whatever ends up being planned can be acceptable to the community. I'd also like to say that recently, 2 very large nonprofit organizations purchased and created preserves. One is an 88,000 acre preserve. The other is a 1,440 acre preserve. They did this because people like myself, like the people in this community sitting in this auditorium, donated money to save the land. to keep it a wildlife, to keep it preserved. It's, our area is a wildlife bird corridor. And now because of what they've done, birds, deer, bobcat, mountain lion, bear, are going to have a chance to have a home. This project is going to scare the wildlife off. This project is going to be a detriment to what these nonprofits have done and what the donors that put the money up for this land to be purchased had intended for the area to be. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Sorensen. Please state your name and
Heather
spell your
Flores,
last name for the record, please.
FLORES, retired Sergeant First Class Army. I'm relatively new to the community. I served the country for 21 years, so I've only been in the community for a few years. My concern is the impact to the community itself. There's only about 1,000 people in the community. I looked it up today, it was 1,019 people. So they're proposing that they're going to be bringing in occasionally 90% of our entire community. The resources alone that would take is just, I can't even fathom it. Not to mention, we don't have any regular community services. We take our own trash to the dump. What is this going to do? How are they going to haul this out? So I just wanted us to be kind of reminiscent of not only the community, the size of the community, what they're proposing to bring in on occasion, in addition to just the trash, the overall support. We have no cell towers. We have no emergency services. There's no connection there. So, I mean, do you understand what I'm saying? Well, I know that you do, but that's pretty much my biggest concern. I appreciate your time, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Flores.
My name is Kenneth Dawson, D-A-W-S-O-N. I understand why we need zoning regulations, and this one is zoned purely agriculture. If you look at the plan that they've got two huge 20-foot buildings, 80 by 92, that definitely don't fit in a ranchette type of community. And a big parking lot, it's definitely out of place and does not belong in this zoned agricultural region. The previous speaker brought up issues that I had mentioned in the letter, is that we don't have decent internet service except for Starlink. Thank God for Elon Musk. And there are no cell phone service anywhere 20 miles within that area. I really think the commission needs to develop a specific plan for this area before allowing any development such as this mega church before approving anything like that. We need to determine the impact. It was also brought up that there are 32 churches all over California, but how many members are in the local community? So this project does nothing to serve the local community. It's just bringing people in, and it stated that it would operate from 8 to 5 with no overnight stays. So they're going to have to be busing everybody in at 8 a.m., busing everybody out at 5 a.m., clogging the roadways when cows like to get in the middle on their way to dinner. So it's something that really needs to be considered. The other thing that I wanted to bring up is you recommend that if there are going to be more than 60 days where water usage would have to service more than 25 people, what is the enforcement mechanism for that? So are you going to be there and count how many days that there have over 25 people? No, I think that it needs to be mandated that they already go through the state water study for this, because it's obvious it's going to be close to 60. It may approach over 60, so we need to do that. It states that they'll pay for all the Kern County school fees, but they can apply for an exemption. This is a church. It's not going to pay taxes. It's not going to help the community. They said that they're going to maintain Back Canyon Road, but who's going to enforce that? Is it going to rely on the roads department, where the roads department has no control over that road? Who's going to enforce this? They state that they will need a traffic control plan for over 200 people. Well, that in itself tells me that the roads are not sufficient to support that kind of traffic. So if you have to have a traffic control plan, maybe the roads should be improved before we allow such a project.
Please wrap up your comments, Mr. Dawson.
Okay.
Give a minute over.
One more comment. It states that this land is not suitable for agriculture. It's mainly for grazing. Cows have no problems going up slopes, so I would knock that argument off the recommendation as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dawson.
Stephen Snyder, SNIDER. Let me open my notes on my phone here a second, please. First off, Mr. Off, I am against this proposed event center for many reasons. Well, I'll go over. The road conditions, Calamity Creek Road is narrow at best, no cell service, no fuel, no maintenance. When you're on that road, and we're used to it because we live up there, we carry everything with us we need in case we break down and help others. So that road, getting in there with that many people and buses, there's one turn, it's a 15-mile-an-hour S turn. I don't know if a bus can get around there, serious, with oncoming traffic. By the way, have you all been up there and looked at it?
Many times.
Okay. So we talk about some other things like the transfer station. They're going to have a lot of garbage for that many people. There's no pickup there. You have to take it to the transfer stations yourself, all right? And Tuesday, I went to the transfer station early in the morning. I'm coming back, and I look out in the proposed development property, and I see 2 roadrunners. We see them once in a while, so I do a little research. 2 roadrunners, there's a nest in that area. Has there been a habitat report on this property? Mr. Macias lives next door, says there's many coveys of quail. He also has on his land, behind his house, mortar stones. We call them gossip stones. It's a big stone. Indians have lived there. Also, farther down, I'm looking at the property and I see an old Indian trail. Has there been a habitat report on this, environmental report, on the effect on our past Native Americans utilizing the property, our habitat with roadrunners, which are federally protected, by the way. You can't move a roadrunner nest. The covey of quail, maybe they'll fly away. There's many things that this development, as Alice has said, is poorly conceived. I don't know why it's being pushed through without more insight. 1,500 GPM of water. If I had that much water, I'd be growing alfalfa up there. We have 2 wells and only one of them works because water is short up there. You guys don't understand it. You can go to the tap here and open the tap and it works. Not up there. We live by what water, and we only have 200 family. 800 people flushing the toilet how many times? I'm telling you, you got a problem, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, my name is Catherine Holk, H-O-L-K. Life on our mountain. People in the 93518 zip code have spent many years living and working in the city. Now we experience life on our little mountain in the country, the city, the one that the members of this commission most likely live in. The difference is the majority of us moved from that city. We moved here for the beauty that this country has to offer, for the peace and quiet only people who live here can define, appreciate, and understand. This is our community. We are a neighborhood made up of friends who would do anything for one another. We are here to help with flood damage and fencing, to help with transportation. We are here to help raise money for our small school, to rescue abandoned pets, donate food and clothing, dump runs, and cut firewood. We are here for each other. I would like each of you to close your eyes. What do you see? What do you hear? Do you see headlights and cement buildings with graffitied walls and homeless on the street? Do you hear sirens, street racers, and horns honking? Do you see smog and mountains of trash on the side of potholed roads? Do you hear traffic screaming by, Garbage trucks, school bells ringing, parents yelling, dogs barking? Do you see apartment buildings, streetlights, gas stations, malls, strip clubs, and big box stores? Do you see traffic, freeways cramped with more cars than imagined? Do you see stop signs, stoplights, crosswalks, streetlights, and sidewalks? You see crowded. You hear noise. We do not want to see those things. We do not want to hear those things. We moved here to escape those things. This is what we see and hear. Horseback riders and open-range cattle, sunsets and sunrises, full moons, and a sky full of stars. We hear sounds unfamiliar to people who live in the city. We hear the wind blowing through the tree branches. We hear birds, rattlesnakes, and squirrels. We see dirt roads, barbed wire fencing, and swinging gates. We see barns, pastures, propane and water tanks. We hear our neighbors' dogs playing, and pigs, chickens, donkeys, sheep, and goats. We see wild Mustangs and veterans trying to gain the strength and courage to live on after serving in our military. We see single-family homes, trailers, and RVs. We see butterflies on flowers, birds building nests, waterfalls, creeks flowing, rock formations, snow and clouds. We wave to drivers as oncoming cars pass in the canyon. We see compassion and love for nature. We see peace. We hear quiet. Kern County Planning Commission. If you see and hear what we in Twin Oaks and the surrounding residents are saying, then you must not approve this proposed mega church and retreat project. If you see and hear what we are saying, the only vote that you can cast is no. We are the people who live on this mountain. We will always be the people who love our quiet country living. We respect our neighbors' property and belongings. We honor their privacy and space. We do not take advantage of our neighbors, and we certainly don't take this beauty for granted. We are the tax-paying property owners in Twin Oaks who need your no vote. We will celebrate your no vote. We will thank you for your no vote. Thank you.
Sorry, I have a voice loss. My name is Jeanette Babo. Last name is B-A-Y-B-O. I live at 34793 Emil Court. And I want to start with asking, have you done a noise evaluation? Do you know that very steep incline? It acts as an amphitheater. I can hear my neighbor talking a mile away. I used to hear my neighbor yell at her husband and her kids, but she moved away. It is so easy to hear each other. You have to be very careful what you say because you can hear everything. I hear the donkeys. I hear everything because it's quiet and peaceful. It's like a steep hill that reflects all the sound. It will come back and it will reverberate. Sorry, I can't talk. Into the whole community. We all moved away from Bakersfield because of not wanting to have the noise of the city. We wanted peacefulness. I wanted to ride out my gate with my horse, and I can do that now. I don't think that's going to be possible with 800 to 1,000 persons. And from what it sounds like, I'm sorry, this looks like it's year-round. Once every 3 years church to have one large retreat max attendance. It had 800, now it's 1,000. Throughout the year, several smaller church groups may utilize, and it's 36 churches. Quarterly, 4 times per year, church service with a maximum of 50 attendees. 4 annual retreats with a maximum of 175 attendees. I can't fathom this. It does not go with the character of our community. Who in that church even thought to even ask the community? Are you gonna widen Caliente Creek Road? What when there's a fire? We had the Stagecoach fire. I had all my animals ready to go. Can you imagine 1,000 people on that road trying to escape a fire? The sheriff, they didn't even get back to you. What did the sheriff say? They didn't get back to you because they don't police it. Just yesterday, somebody got run off the road because there was a big rig that swung into their lane, and they had to go off, and they hit a rock and had a flat tire. I stopped, got their phone number, called her husband to be able to come and help her. That's the usual occurrence. We have nobody to help each other except for each other. What about all these hundreds of people coming in? We have, thank you.
Please wrap up your comments, Ms. Bebo.
Okay. I have 2 gossip rocks on my property. I have found numerous Native American artifacts. This area is a natural resource, and you just want to pave it over. It reminds me of, what's that song? Yeah. Paradise. Someplace in paradise. Well, I don't want to pave over. I want to live in a natural habitat. I want my horse to be able to roam. I want to be able to ride out the front gate. I would really appreciate a no vote, and for you to think about the community that was not asked. Nobody was asked. I was the only one who received a letter. I was the only one. Why? My neighbor across from me, same amount of distance. She didn't receive one. Please, please, I beg you, a no vote. Please. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Anita Beecher. I own with my family 13929 Caliente Creek Road, Section 12. We're back neighbors to this proposed development. To the Honorable Board of Supervisors, at issue in this meeting is whether to allow a conditional use permit to Mr. Frangoso of ICI USA or not. I would like to discuss a few issues of consideration that have seniority over this proposed permit. From its inception, Kern County has zoned this area to be agriculture and agricultural use. Specifically by law, current law, it is cattle rangeland and forage area. This county has historically managed this area contingent upon the agricultural status. In this application, for some unexplained reason, the county has allowed a church to qualify as agriculture, and 2, it exempts said church entirely from having an extensive environmental impact report to be published regarding the proposed construction. An environmental impact report would address water issues, it would address all of the other issues that other neighbors have brought up. But specifically, I'd like to focus on their proposed 8-foot fence perimeter. 8-foot fence is higher than it's legal. I can't make an 8-foot fence, it has to be 6 foot. It restricts any wildlife migration, any. And because they're proposing to put 111 trees and shrubs there, they're definitely making a temptation for cows to come or wildlife to come and eat it. Another thing is roadway culpability. You mentioned in the proposal that the ICI USA would be responsible for the road maintenance. In my experience, if you let a person be in charge of road maintenance, that means that they will feel like they can restrict road access. Back Canyon is Back Canyon Road. That is, it's not a paved road. It is a dirt road. If he decides, or the institution decides to put an 8-foot fence across the road, I don't see how any of us have any standing to say no, because it's not paved. It's not maintained by the county, and the county wants to foist responsibility on ICI USA for some reason. I just think that it is irresponsible, not fiscally conservative, and most importantly, does not follow the rule of law in this county and state. Therefore, the only conclusion that the Board of Supervisors can logically and legally issue is to disallow this conditional use permit on the aforementioned grounds. Thank you, Supervisors, for your consideration. I'm Anita Beecher, and my mom is Irma Beecher. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Beecher.
My name is Darren Adams. My address is 13751 Paradise Valley Road. I'm directly across the street from this facility. I believe most of the things have been addressed here by my neighbors. I think the one thing that I'd like to correct Ms. Beecher, Bat Canyon is paved. Bat Canyon is paved all the way through. Not with 3 inches of asphalt, but with a chip seal. Guess who paid for that chip seal? The people in this room with their HOA fees. We went to everybody to pitch in and make that road happen. It was pitted, it was bad. We get no county help, nothing. Yet we drive that road. Earlier, it was mentioned in the study that they have to maintain that road. They have to widen that road and maintain that road so that a passenger vehicle can pass it. What is that stipulation? Dirt? Or is it at least a chip seal like we have? We spent $57,000 last year paving that road, that 1 mile from Caliente Creek to there with our HOA fees. And ironically, I just spent the day today personally cleaning up Bat Canyon from all the flooding and the dirt that washes over the road. So it's a continual maintenance issue. Last and finally, I see many, many parking spaces there. What stops people from continuing on past this facility, onto my property, through my road? What stops them from stopping in front of my house, walking into my property, messing with my cows, my animals? Folks, these are privately maintained roads that we've all spent a lifetime trying to protect and trying to keep well maintained because we drive them daily. I understand why they want to be here. That's why we moved there. However, I would like to know if there's some property next door to each one of the 15 that are here today and how they'd feel if we pulled up and put a mega church next to them. I own one of 3 businesses in that community. I've invested time, thousands of dollars to support the community and be a part of the community. So I get what it takes to be in that community. It is a small community. This business is giving nothing back to the community. I'm at least giving food back to the community when they buy it. So I think we really need to step back and realize that we're impacted beyond belief here. And that's why we're frustrated, we're upset. I understand, but it isn't just a matter of a yes or no. It's a matter of you have to understand why they're doing it. And it isn't just affecting that 1 mile. It's affecting all of it. People go on rides all the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Adams.
Real quick, we had a letter from somebody that couldn't attend. We'd like to turn that.
Good evening. My name is Michelle Vertres, Vertrees. I just want to reiterate what everybody here is saying and about the traffic on our roads and the effort that we go through to maintain our roads. Now, And like Darren was saying, what's to stop them from continuing on our private roads? And we can't take that wear and tear on our roads. And Caliente Creek Road is not in the best shape. So I'm so against this project. You know, I understand that they love this area and they want to build their church, but this is not what we want. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Richard Tyson, Tyson. I live at 34822 Oakview Lane. I have some documents here which I'd like to share with you. What I've done is gone through your staff report, and I found it to be full of errors, full of misconceptions, and this report deals with those. I'd just like to go through the basis for approval in your staff report. Item number 1, the staff misunderstands the purpose and use of a church retreat and claims it will provide various activities and socialization opportunities to church parishioners. There are no local church parishioners. All parishioners will be bussed in. This facility provides none of these benefits to the local community and should not be exempt from local zoning under the misapprehension that it does. Number 2, staff notes the suitability of churches in agricultural areas to conveniently serve the community's cultural and recreational needs. Staff doesn't understand what this project is. It is not a local church facility, but rather a retreat serving churches outside the community and otherwise locked up when not in use. Staff says it will ensure appropriate conditions of approval to protect the integrity of the surrounding area. How can staff do this when it doesn't understand what the proposal is, nor what our community is? In any case, what are the specifics of staff's requirements? Item number 3, staff reiterates its misunderstanding cited above. The Planning Commission has been ill-served by these staff recommendations, which fail to take into consideration the actual project being proposed or the impact it will have on the local community. Zoning requirements are made for specific purposes and should not be overwritten on whim. A church retreat a quarter of this size would be a better fit to the area and would, I believe, elicit few objections. To conclude, it's not like this is the only place in the world that this denomination can have for their retreat. To change the zoning laws here to suit them precludes the option that they could have in putting their retreat somewhere else. Thank you.
Are there others that would like to speak?
I'm Madeline Mead, 12762 Caliente Creek Road. I guess I'm losing my voice too. I agree with everyone before me, and the only thing I want to point out is not only is the water an issue, but the sewage is going to be an issue too. Weaver Creek runs, it's not on the map, but it's on the other side of that road. And where's the leach field? Where's the sewage? We don't want it in Caliente Creek, and you can't put it under the road. So it's way too many people. It's too big. It's too much water. We have to do everything. We have to deal with our own poop, our own trash. We don't have we don't have the sheriff. The sheriff's 30 miles away. I mean, go up there and live and see what it's like. That's it.
Others who would like to speak? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to go ahead.
Possible to speak again? Can I use somebody else's 2 minutes?
If you stick to 2 minutes or less.
You can have my time out. I just have to emphasize, I'm sorry, I'm Alice Sorensen, Sorenson. And I just want to emphasize the fact that this whole plan is egregiously weak. It's been done without thought. It's been done without consideration. I remember asking why an EIR wasn't done, and I was told because the project's too small. Well, hell, it's going to be the biggest damn project out in that valley. You know, it is a big project. And just because a project can be excluded or accepted from an EIR condition, a CEQA condition, doesn't mean it should be. I really think that this needs to go back to the drawing board, be reconsidered, include the community in the planning, have the discussions, and see what can fall out from that would be acceptable. Thank you.
I'm also not one who speaks often or chooses to do so. My name is Jennifer. Berg, B-E-R-G. I live at 14291 Back Canyon. I'm married to Robert Macias, our property neighbors, this project. I guess what I wanted to say is, with this project, I feel like, they do have a want to be there, and I agree with all of the grievances that we've stated. But I also see this as a big money-making thing for them. These retreats, 32 churches, they charge their congregants to go on these things. So they're just going to make tons and tons of money. They're going to take and take and take. They're going to line their pockets and leave. They're going to walk away. They're not here to give to us. They're not here to support our community. I really don't feel that way at all. They're going to make money off their parishioners, and not one of their parishioners lives in our city.
Any more speakers? Okay, hearing none, we're going to close the public comment period now, and we'll go to our commission for their comments or thoughts or questions or what have you. Commissioner Josh?
Yes. Thank you, Chairman Ashley. I do have some questions, and I will direct this towards the applicant. Someone from the applicant could come up, please. So number one, I appreciate everyone's comments tonight. I know you guys came a long way to share your comments, and this commission, I really appreciates everyone's feedback and your thoughts. We take them very deeply when we consider our thoughts here. So a lot of comments have been made about resources, things like number one, starting with water. I have a question. I went through the project. I didn't see any type of review process you've done on the existing well there. Have you guys done anything to see the water usage or the demand use of that well you have on site and its capacity of that well?
We actually got a permit, right?
He has a permit for the well.
For the domestic.
But we did request last Friday to meet with whoever had concerns, so we met on the site. The adjacent neighbor came, I believe Alice came, so that we could, and we ended up meeting Monday. So we reached out Friday, we met Monday. And a lot of the water concerns were there. So we talked to them about, on the larger events, trucking in water to fill the tank rather than pulling from the underground water table. Obviously, any drinking water and stuff, they would bring bottled water for all events. There was a lot of discussion with the neighbor, even like the driveway. You know, the church did not consider his cows and bulls and then the shared drive. Well, it's not a shared driveway, but the driveway right adjacent. So the church is more than willing to move the driveway on the other side. Trash would be taken out. A lot of these concerns were heard by the church, and they're more than willing to work and revise stuff if need be. I mean, they're willing to pave almost a mile of road if they need to. It's already paved, expand it, and maintain it, when generally with projects, you would only take care of your frontage. So there's quite a bit of things that they're willing to do.
No, and I appreciate that, and I guess I'm just trying to understand, again, but just specifically just on the water situation. So that existing well you have is a domestic water well. My understanding is, per your comment. So you guys have not done any type of review of that well to make sure it can meet the demand, because there is a requirement by the fire department for you to have 1,500 gallons per second for 2 hours, which equals 180 gallons over 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have a large storage tank on site that could hold that water?
So these conditions, these were the ones that were just set, right? Yeah. So the fire comment, like, we couldn't do a study until we got conditions. Do you see what I'm saying? So I don't know what the water table's like. I know that Robert spoke with Julio and asked, can you provide a study to see how this is gonna affect the ground? Yes, we can. The groundwater.
Nothing's been done yet. And so what size is the tank on the property right now?
5,000? 5,000.
5,000, and there's no additional storage tank besides the
Not right
existing
now, no.
5,000? Okay.
No.
Isn't accessible. It's got a hole in the top.
Thank you. Thanks, sir. I appreciate that for the clarification there. Okay, and on this well, is the 5,000 tank, I'm assuming it's a pressurized tank?
They haven't used the site. Robert probably knows more about the tank than us. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Just to give you like a little background of why they don't know some of this stuff is they bought the property. They've probably had a couple times they took people out there to, church members to show it and stuff, but they have not used the site like they've been planning this. I think in 2020 is when they started planning this as far as a site plan and the process through the county and meeting with the planning department. So they don't have studies. It's just like when they go to build, I'm sure studies will be required, and then they'll have to do those.
Excuse me, Commissioner Josh, the
Yes.
chair. Typically, what we see for all developments that have a well is they have to go through, as condition 4A states, they have to get approval through EHS, and they will have to get approval through the State Water Board. Now that, and the appropriate agencies. Now that includes doing a well test for the capacity of what the operational statement is. So right now, they may have a well permit for whatever was allowed on the site previous, but that does not mean that they are meeting any of the water requirements with EHS for what they're requesting. Now, if they cannot meet that, they either need to figure out how they can meet it and get approval through EHS, or their project doesn't happen. That's pretty much how that condition works.
Yeah, and that is my concern, is I'm just trying to understand is, because with water being such an issue, and I understand the process we go through and we can condition a project, but a project of this magnitude, as far as the water use requirement, it seems a little bit ahead of itself when it doesn't even have a general study, which I'm a little concerned about, of the kind of water table and the water use, especially in an area that's in high demand. Normally, I would like to see at least some sort of a general water review, even something as simple as a basic flow test prior to kind of justify the water table. I mean, it's a few things that could probably looked at prior to coming to this type of decision, or even a general preliminary technical report that the Division of State Water would normally like to see anyhow, which is not too complex to do, but something, especially on a lower water table, would be looked at. So that was my one. I would probably like to see something like that. The other question is, too, I'm looking at the site plan, and I do not see anything on the site plan, one, showing any type of storage tank. If it is, it needs to be shown on the plan because I figure it'd be tough for us to condition a site if it doesn't include the entirety of the project. And I don't see anywhere on the site showing where the proposed septic tank is going to be and the leach lines, and also the future 100% expansion of the leach lines. Any clarification on that?
It's on there. I don't
It's
know. Can you
on
point
here?
it out, Nicole? It is.
I'm looking at the site plan, and it's hard to see. So if you could
Yeah,
please
it is.
show that, that'd be great.
Do you want me to show it to you?
So staff could possibly clarify where that location is? Of the septic tank and the leach lines?
Can you point that out? No, water, well, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. Appreciate that. And then I did have clarification again, being the site being so isolated. I do know that the staff did condition on waste removal. What is your process, and how are you guys planning on removing the waste when an event comes through, and to haul it off since there is no local provider for that?
Trash. They will
Yes.
take it out.
Trucks.
Do you have can you clarify what that process is going to be? I mean, I know you say trucks, but I mean, you can't just put trash in the back of a pickup truck. It has to be hauled off by a certified, someone that can haul
I'm sure there's
trash off. So do you have any plan for that?
Sorry, my name is Julio Fragoso,
Yes, Julio.
F-R-A-G-O-S-O, and I'm the president of the commission in charge of doing the paperwork. And for the trash, no, we don't have anything in writing because we're just going through this right now. But I'm sure I can hire a company from Bakersfield to go out there and put a container, get all the trash and get them out. That's how we can also talk about the restrooms and the hand wash and all. I'm sure there's got to be a service in Bakersfield that's willing to do that.
Okay. No, I appreciate the clarification there.
I can put something in writing if you guys want me to and put a plan together for that stuff. There's a couple of containers on the back of the road that I seen, the large containers where people, the locals, they throw the trash away. I throw trash in those containers a few times.
I appreciate that. So I'm just trying to understand because, obviously an event center that has, 250 people or up to 800 people, I mean, the amount of use or trash, it is not in a small scale.
understand.
That would have to be large bins, and those normally have to have large landfill trucks to pull those off and dispose of. I'm just trying to understand your process.
So these things too, and I don't know if I'm right or wrong, Nicole, but when they go to do building permits, they would be required to make sure that, so if, I heard some of them, if the location of the septic is going to be an issue, obviously there's going to be a septic study from a soils engineer. If that's going to be an issue to the creek, we're not going to put it there. The county wouldn't let us, and we wouldn't want it there. Buildings, when you go to get a building permit, there's trash enclosures required. You have to make sure that there's a plan for these things, just like the fire evacuation plan. All these things will come into play. Just like she said, okay, so we're going to need all this water. If they go test that well after this is, okay, you guys can do it, they're not just going to put up a building. If they go test the well and it's not going to work, well, they're going to have to figure something out, or the project's going to die. But without being able to know if they even have the right to do it, how do they spend all this money and all these studies to just be told no? Like, you spent the money and all these studies, but no, we're still not going to let you do it. Normally, this is the process, the conditional use permit, and then they meet all these conditions. And if they can't meet the conditions.
Well, I mean, there's different processes, and I appreciate your response. Normally, depending on this type of projects, or could be heavier conditions of environmental review that can be done prior to a CUP being an issue. So they're just, that's what I'm trying to understand a little bit of the process. Again, it's a little bit not clarified here, and I'm trying to understand a little better of how you guys are looking to operate this facility, because normally you'd have some sort of an operation agreement or something of a facility, how this thing's going to function once it does become operational. And I'm just trying to understand that process, not only for ourselves, but also for the community. Thank you for your time. I do have a couple of questions for staff, actually for Public Works. We have Public Works here today?
Yes, we do have someone from Development Review.
One, would you mind coming? I just have a general question. I did see that Public Works, that we did condition for this road to be improved up to 25 feet or larger. Can you clarify, since this is considered a commercial use facility, most likely probably A2 occupancy, why it was not conditioned for type A improvements on the frontage?
Cesar Yon, Kern County Public Works, AYON. Although this road is public access, it's not county maintained, so thus we wouldn't be able to condition it anyway. So the portion on that was actually a condition from staff.
So Public Works can't, it's not controlled by the county.
Correct.
County cannot condition.
So we cannot condition.
Okay, so thank you for that clarification. Staff, can I ask, how are we looking to hold the applicant accountable for road conditions, for if this road does get damaged? What is the process that we have in place to make sure that there's some sort of maintenance and some sort of way to keep an eye on this?
Sure. So just a quick clarification. A church is not defined as a commercial entity. It's defined as an institution, and it's protected under our Federal Religious Act. So I just want to make sure that we're all clear that this isn't a business, but it is an institution. Second, the encroachment through Public Works where actually, can we have the plan and the map up that shows Caliente Creek to the project site, please? That portion of the road from Caliente Creek to the project site, although it is all public road, but it is privately maintained. It is not under the HOA from the. Can I get the other map that shows the zoning, please? Or which map was it? That's the rate, thank you. And so from Caliente Creek to the project site, that is not under the HOA purview for conditioning any kind of maintenance or anything like that. That would be an undue burden on the HOA. And so staff looked at the impacts of what the potential could be for the number of events they are asking for and the cap of the number of attendees. And it was determined that the project site should be widened, the project road should be widened to 24 feet, and that would have to be done prior to any operation on site. So that would be actually inspected by a building inspector to make sure that that has been done correctly. And then with almost any conditional use permit for almost any use, it is incumbent upon the applicant to make sure that they are enforcing and in compliance with those conditions. And so the condition that you're speaking to, I believe, Commissioner Josh, is 7H. And there is a report that the road conditions will have to be given to our department annually for that section between Caliente Creek and the project site. That's in your addendum. It's the last,
Okay.
Sorry. And so that would make the church responsible for maintaining that road, and that would include, and the evidence would be photographic evidence, so they would most likely, a lot of times what happens is they show a video They go out and they tape the road and they make sure that it's very typical where we have a video done of the road by the applicant annually. This happens with a lot of our solar projects and other things like that. Another point to make on that end is that everyone in the neighborhood, should this be approved, can also report any kind of issue that they have to the planning department, and we are required to investigate any kind of situation or report that comes up. And so through that, we would determine if the applicant is in compliance. If they are not, we have the right to take them to the Board of Supervisors and revoke the conditional use permit. But usually we really try to work with everybody and make sure that it has been taken care of. And so I hope that answers what you were getting at.
I just want to get under clarification. Appreciate you understanding and clarifying that for me. And I might have one more question for staff, then I'll turn it over to other commissioners. I'm not trying to get too long-winded here. The question brought up because of the rural location of the site and the location of public services, which safety is always an issue. With large gatherings, obviously we know it is a church and should be peaceful gatherings. But in this situation, I was somewhat, didn't see any condition of maybe during events, any type of security or having private security on site since there are not much services nearby. Is that a condition that would might be sensible, or did the staff think about that at all, or your reasoning on that?
So there are a couple of things to think about on that point. So we do have a condition for any event that's over 200 people that there is a traffic control plan. Mm-hmm. Now, we could limit the traffic control plan and that's usually directional signs and that sort of thing, where the applicant must stop the traffic at the project site. You have that right to, we can kind of work a little bit on that if you want to work on limiting that. As far as security on site, that's not something we usually address for churches. We do that for event venues and that sort of thing. So this is a place where people gather for congregation. However, that is something we could discuss if you'd like for me to craft a condition for something like that. We could also craft a condition for that the trash has to be removed within 24 hours of a large event. And I forgot, what was the other question? I'm sorry.
Well, the trash, water is still a concern of mine, and,
Mm-hmm.
and would like to probably discuss a little further, but a couple other fellow commissioners discuss their thoughts first prior to.
Did I get to the question of security? That can be something that we can look at doing. I would caution the number of times you would want security on site for depending on how many people. So I would kind of look at it as the number of people, over 50 people or something like that. Okay. I would think about something along those lines.
It's just a very unique situation being such a rural area, not having the services. So it's just something that we haven't really looked at too often, I would say, with this type of
I completely understand.
Combination. Just trying to understand all the concerns.
I absolutely understand the concerns.
Okay, I will hold the comments and let the commissioners speak in the meantime.
Thank you, Commissioner Josh. Commissioner Albert.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you, Commissioner, as well. I have had a lot of the same concerns as you did. Water is a major concern that I was taking when I was looking at this, and I'm very, very familiar with the area up there. I've been up there many, many times as a real estate broker, as well as where's my Army folks? Go Army, even though I'm former Navy and we beat you in football. But thank you for your service. So the thing that I see is a domestic water well permit and stuff like that, but which is generally the size of it and stuff was my concern. And I don't know if what we can ask for to ensure that that is. And then another concern of mine is because of the lack of water, if we start building larger facilities in this area, heaven forbid we have a fire. and being able to have that safety with the number of people. I know I've driven that road. I do not like taking my Tesla up there, but I will take my SUV. But because of the condition of the road and trying to get people out of there in regards to the fire. So I don't know whether we're kind of putting the cart before the horse in regards to this, in regards to some of the studies that I think that may need to get done, or such as an impact survey in regards to how it would impact the water table for that area. I'm concerned with that, whether it be from environmental health, taking a look at that. Another one is obviously the traffic issue and the road condition. Yes, it would put an undue burden in regards to the HOA on that. Can we ask for them to widen it and things like that? But if we start hauling off garbage, we have a haul-off. I think the applicant had asked for. My concern is the big trucks. They have to come in on those roads. Those are not, well, okay, I'm going to say not paved, but it's technically paved with some of the, you guys know what I mean. But with the chip seal, the trucks will tear that up. I grew up on a small little farm in San Ynez Valley. Back in the 60s when it was very, very rural as well. Now it's a big wine area. Change does come, guys. Be prepared for that. It does come. But some of these issues I do have things with, and I don't know if we can ask the county to take a look at those a little deeper. Other than that, those are my main concerns, as well as I noted in one of these letters here that he didn't, and I'm going to read this. I didn't expect the panel will not read the letter sent. I read every single one of them. I want to let you know that. Thank you. So, but I do have some concerns, and I'm going to kick it back over to our chair and finalize things, and hopefully we can address some of these things I think that we have concerns together on.
Thank you, Commissioner Oliver. Staff, we would care to respond to some of Commissioner Oliver's last statements there in terms of what can be done?
Yes, Commissioner Oliver through the chair, and Commissioner Josh. If you are concerned about the water issue for this site, you can give directive to staff to continue the project, to work with the applicant to get appropriate information gathered that may or may not, we don't know at this moment, could come to fruition for what we would recommend. So that is an absolute option that you have. I would suggest if you were thinking about that, because you're deciding on a project and that's important. If you're thinking about that, I would say that with the county agencies involved, that would need to be reviewing that, and the applicant would have to get those tests, done. I would guess we would look at a July 13th or July 27th continuance date. So that's a definite option you have. As far as the other conditions, we can craft conditions for ensuring that trash and debris are cleaned off of the site for larger events. They are required to have it done weekly anyway, but we can do something like that. We do have a condition for any fire evacuation that needs to take place, and any kind of event gathering that may be over 300 people, the applicant has to get in touch with the sheriff's department so that they're aware and they have a plan in place with them. That's one of the conditions that we have. And so we have some wiggle room on those ends, but as far as the water is concerned, if you are concerned about the water, it would be staff's recommendation that you continue the case to July 13th or July 27th and reevaluate at that time.
Thank you very much, Ms. Simon. Okay, what are you guys thinking?
Sorry, Chairman Ashley. I'll give my thoughts on this. I am a developer. I believe in development. I do everything I can to help development come through. I know there are some beautiful areas in our Kern County, and it's tough when we live in areas. I grew up on a ranch myself, and development comes near you. It's scary, it's uncomfortable, and what I try to do when I'm on this dais is to look at the guidelines that we are governed by, and that's land use. And if projects are good land use and they fit the area, I will say this is a little an odd location in the general area for a facility like this. So that is something that is, personally, that I would say might not fit the area because it is so rural. And the lack of a lot of general services that we would want any type of facility where people are gathering to have access to, things like safety, things like fire, emergency services, those are very critical. And for the health and safety of the people that are attending these events and coming to this facility. So that is a concern. I do feel that the site plan is generally lacking, and normally when we approve something that conditional use permit is approved based upon a site plan that should be in its entirety. I think the applicant is unfortunately does not have a clear understanding of what's going to be required by fire. There's no fire tank on the property on the site. Normally in a rural area like this, a well is going to have to provide the water table will not be able to maintain that. I am just, again, I'm not by studying, just from general understanding of my years of doing this, to be able to pump out that much water on a large pump scale would, I don't think the water table will be able to handle that. I don't see any type of hydrant on the site showing if they do have to pump that type of water where fires can connect to. So normally, fire department would require a large 180,000 gallon storage tank to be on site that would be filled at one time, and it would stay stagnant and filled until the need of a fire, and then the fire department would hook up to that, and that would provide their fire requirement. Unfortunately, the site plan is lacking that, and I think that is something that needs to be shown, and the fire access to that fire tank should be on site, unless the applicant can provide a clarification through some sort of a preliminary technical report on the water table that it has capability to pump that type of water use and not put that type of stress on the water table. So I think that is lacking, unfortunately, on the general site plan. I am concerned that we don't have any real operating plan of action for these facilities of how to handle trash haul-off. That is a concern of mine. I think that these type of gatherings are going to produce a lot of trash. People will, especially 8 to 5, they're going to eat breakfast, lunch, or dinner. There's going to be water. There's going to be waste. How the applicant is planning on hauling that off and disposing of that. I think that should be part of our CUP to show how their operations is going to work, just like we ask people to give us hours of operations, how they're going to operate the facility. I think this is definitely a key part of that. I think that is lacking here. And I didn't touch much on the environmental side of it, but normally you would see at least something prior to coming to this, like even ground mounting, a nitrate ground mounting done prior to show that, a facility this size is not going to impact the soils or impact the water table prior to coming to a hearing like this. Just basic studies in an area that is going to be impacting and becoming a big change. I think those are somewhat lacking. So I think either we, this project is a little bit ahead of itself, needs to be conditioned on these items and reviewed. And these things that should be brought back to not only for us to make an adequate decision if this is capable, but also some legitimate concerns by the community. That's my take on it. I would love to hear anyone else's thoughts and see what you guys feel on this is. I mean, if this goes to a hard vote today, I'd have a hard time supporting it. I am open to, if this is continued to help alleviate some of these concerns and continue for a further date, but that's my take on it. I'd love to hear my other commissioners' feedback.
Thank you, Commissioner Josh. Commissioner Oliver?
Yeah, I, again, as a real estate broker for over 20 years in this community and in your community as well, I'm very, very pro-growth and pro, I mean, shoot, I want to sell more properties. But we want to do it smartly. And I don't want to go into more further depth that anything that you haven't already covered. You said it so eloquently, and I thank you for stating that. I am very, very concerned in regards to the water table for that reason and affecting the community around. We do have to be concerned with that on how if we were to bring something, because it is kind of out of place. This thing, because it is such a rural area, I have a little bit more concerns. Safety is one of our main concerns in regards whether it be fire or safety issues, traffic, as well as the water. So, like I said, I think we put the cart a little bit before the horse on this one, and I'd like to see a little bit more complete studies in regards to where they want to go. And, have EHS come in and maybe do a water table study or do a water study. Figure out what we're going to do before it comes back to us. And I think I would be hard-pressed to support at this time. I mean, like I said, I'm very pro-growth, but and I want to support it. But at this time, I think I'd have a hard time as well.
So either of you have a motion. I'll back that up. I'll make a statement or two. Appreciate everyone coming out. Appreciate the emotion surrounding these kinds of things. I've lived in town once in my life, and that was a long time ago. I'll never do it again. So I can appreciate the rural nature and the pristine nature of where you are. I, too, treasure those things about where I grew up and where I've lived most of my entire life. But change does occur, and it's difficult. And I'm an old dog, and I'm really difficult to teach new tricks to. And there are certain things I just don't like. And I think that doesn't necessarily come into play here as much as it would maybe somewhere else because of the other conditions or the site conditions and the concerns that my fellow commissioners have. So I'll let them decide. You want to make a motion to continue, or do you want to?
Well, I'd probably ask the applicant enough, at least we'll give the opportunity to comment on. Would you like this to go to a vote today, or would you like to see this continued? If it's continued,
Jessica, you want to come on down and
Ms. Simon, are we in okay territory here?
We're okay for right now.
Thank you.
I would like to see it continued, but continued with what studies they want. Because these studies...
So let me be straight. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So your commission can present with us your concerns, and then we will take those concerns and we will evaluate them and speak with the applicant to determine what types of items and materials and information is needed. Your commission cannot require us to require them to do a study. That doesn't mean that we're not going to look at your concerns earnestly and with the correct steps to address them. So, because sometimes a study is not exactly what is needed. EHS doesn't do studies like what you're suggesting. So we have to be careful on the language that we use. However, we have everything written down as to your concerns: water, trash. There is a condition for a tiered wildfire evacuation plan. However, we can look at other kinds of issues too and consult with the fire department. So there are other things that we can do beyond even just asking about water, and we can look at some other concerns that were brought up tonight and see where we go from there.
Yeah, just some final words real quick.
Yeah, go ahead, Commissioner.
And this is directed at the applicant. I'm sure, I've been a member of my church for many, many years, and I'm sure that you guys as a church and community want to be good neighbors, as we all do. And I hope that you hear some of the concerns and things like that and work with our department hand in hand to be able to try it, because I would love to support, any kind of church
I
community.
think that's the goal. The church really does. That's why they met with whoever showed up Monday. It just didn't.
Guys, please.
Yeah.
We
Not
invited
time for
whoever
debate.
wanted to come. They're more than willing to work with the concerns. The water, we understood it once we talked to Robert, and I told him, with the largest event you guys are gonna have, we gotta address that, And they're more than willing. They're moving the driveway for him, like that. That's not the issue. Like, I want to continue it. We want to answer your guys' questions. We're more than willing to go over the concerns that were heard here tonight.
Thank you so much.
That's not a
I don't
problem.
want to get into the weeds of it right now.
Yeah.
I just wanted to thank you so much for that.
So can I direct to staff a couple, Mike, just kind of clarify those concerns that we are looking at, that you could look into condition. We've already talked about water. I would like to see a site plan revised showing if fire tank location on the site plan, and clarification of fire circulation with that tank. Can we do that? Be done?
So, Commissioner Josh, to the chair, that is something that, and we can speak and consult with the fire department, but
Correct.
that's really through their review of what is, if something is approved and the capacity of what that is. That's not something we could see like a general area for it, but the fire department may decide to change that through the more engineered design at a later date if it's approved and it goes through the building permit section. So
Correct.
that's something that, we can look at having an area for that and the
And that's all I was
capacity.
looking for, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so something
Yeah.
like that, but I wouldn't go as far as getting it engineered or anything like that.
No problem. And then if we could also request possibly an operational statement kind of clarifying how they're going to handle some of the general concerns that we're talking about, with how to handle the people, how to handle the trash haul off, those type of things I would look to. And also, staff, I'd recommend some sort of, since this is not a county road, what about, how do we look at, because normally a soils report will condition a project based upon the section of a road and the section of the on-site pavement. I know we clarified here 2 inches of base or 3 inches of asphalt, but if the soil condition requires 6 inches of base, 4 inches of asphalt or 6 inches of base. So I think I would, instead of us conditioning them with what should be provided, maybe what the soils report condition comes out of what is provided for a paved section for that and for the road section.
Can I say something? The road is paved for the most part. The gentleman said what kind of paving, but it has paving. They are to extend it and maintain it.
Oh, no, I completely understand, ma'am. And I'm just clarifying that we have a conditions for your on-site parking and your on-site. And normally those type of conditions are guaranteed by a soils report saying this is the section that should be required based on the soils condition. And I'm just saying that that's something that should be looked at, especially for the public road sector.
So if it is approved, it would go through engineering department, and there's a floodplain department, and they would look at what would be engineered on site, and they do look at the type of asphalt that will be put and the type of rebar or anything else that they need to do.
Correct.
So that would be something that would be done at a later date. That happens with all CUPs, and the applicant did do a feasibility study that shows where buildability is on the property, and so they have addressed that portion of it, and that is where the parking lot is. You can see that they have reduced it from the original size, and that is partially due to the feasibility study. The feasibility study tells you where it can be built. And then later, the floodplain division would look at the specifics of the type of asphalt, all that kind of thing. It should be porous or otherwise.
So my question would be on condition 6C. We clarified 2 inches or 3. Could we just notate that section should be based upon a soils report condition instead of us clarifying? Then it kind of leaves a little bit of cloudiness and thing that they're allowed to do
I
3
will
over
put
2?
it on the list, absolutely.
I believe there is a soils report condition in there, right? Or no, not in this part, but in the main part, like for, it might not be for the road. It might be for the building, I don't know. But there's a soils report one.
There is a soils report for the septic system that will need to be done, and it has to show percolation and that type of thing, so.
Thank you.
Do you guys have a motion?
Yeah, I will put a motion out to continue this project to a later date, and that date, if you could, July 27th, and would request staff to take consideration of the comments made today for review.
And I'll second that.
We have a motion second. Please cast your votes.
Three ayes, 2 absent. The motion carries.
I'm sorry, I would just like to make a quick announcement.
Yep.
So this is to everyone that participated. So when we continue a case, it does not get re-noticed. So please, if you want to show up again, please make a note on your calendars that we will be here on July 27th. At the same time? At the same time.
Same time, same lovely place.
Yep.
Can we get the results that?
If you would like to request any information, you can contact Ms. Menchaca, and she can give you the outline for what we'll need from you to give you any kind of information you need. So.
Sorry, what department does she work with?
The planning department.
Thank you.
Her information is on the hearing notice, so you can contact her through there. That is something we'll talk about at a later date. I just wanted to let everybody know that it is not going to be re-noticed, so you wouldn't expect another hearing notice. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Ms. Simon, very much. Okay, that brings us to our favorite part of the agenda, which is adjournment. And we will adjourn to our next planning commission meeting, which is scheduled for May 25th.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you very much.
Migrating toward the surface, it might suggest that the magmatic system is going to be replenished, and that could provoke an eruption.
Dr. Mike Klin has studied Lassen Peaks